Hello. Excited day. Today is the day when I'm introducing to my universe the very special person. I met him 2 months ago, Justin Wenzel, coach of the coaches. And for me, he became a mentor. And you know how hard it is for grown adult men to find another man who can trust and listen and obey. And you know what? I figure out I can do this with Justin. So just listen very carefully what we're going to talk about. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a blast. But we're here to put Justin on the map of a core nation. And we want to really understand his energy, his power, his motivation. And we're going to go even to the movement he creating right now. So let's start. My name is Sergiy. I'm your guide. And let's give Justin the mic. Justin, I want you to say right now just few sentences, what is on your heart, just blast it wherever it's kind of saturate you. Just speak to the world right now. Just unleash it.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, Sergey, thank you so much for having me on here. And anytime I get a chance to meet in these types of rooms, it's always powerful. We always have an opportunity to share our stories. We always have an opportunity to put our message out there. And that's fantastic because I truly believe that our story is what's the most captivating. You know, stories sell, but stories change lives as well because there we can always find little golden nuggets that we can relate to, especially when you have an opportunity to get vulnerable. And that's something that, you know, when you came on your first call with me, you know, it was like your story was incredible. And it was like there was a lot there. There was a lot to unpack, but somehow I found myself relating to you. And I'll tell you what, you know, our first interaction was amazing. Our second one was rocky. And I was like, I had to snap back at you and be like, yo, bro, pull it together. Let's go. I'm trying to keep it clean.
Let's go. Yeah.
Let's go. And then right from there, it was the start of a beautiful friendship and a beautiful mentor to mentee situation. So bro, thank you for having me on here. This is a really cool setting. And I had a little bit of time to meet your producer too, out in Argentina. She's amazing. She's really cool. I have a friend of mine who's Argentinian and just great people in that country for sure. But anyways, yeah, I'm here for you, man. I'm here to sit back and whatever you need, I'll try to do my best to provide, bro.
Okay. So the show will be very easy. But think of a playground, right? I want you to be completely relaxed. Don't think about audience, don't think about listeners. Just you and me, right? And we have 3 blocks. Simply, we have Justin in the beginning of your life. We have a Justin right now, and we have a Justin in the future. So let's start with a Justin of now. Who Justin is, just general, boring, but facts. Like you own this, you do this, you strive for that, you this old, you married, you're not married. Just give us just a little summary of what Justin consists of at this present moment of 2024.
Sure. Thanks for asking. So my name is Justin Justin Wenzel, and I am the CEO of 2 businesses. I'm the CEO of Justin Wenzel Fitness, which is a very large online sobriety mindset fitness and nutrition program that I started a little over 2 years ago. And blew it up and have had some massive success with that. From there, I started an online coaching agency, but as you know, it's much more of a community than an agency where we handle marketing, sales, advertising, branding, and things like that for people just like yourself. I've had a lot of fun building this. We've turned it into a massive movement, and it's become my entire life. And as you know, I work around the clock on it and invest all my time and money back into it. I'm 37 years old, and I'm married to a beautiful woman. Her name is Elizabeth Wenzel, and she met me in the most vulnerable time of my life. We can get into that a little bit later, and fell in love with me and accepted me for who I was. And she had me at that moment. And now she has me at the best point of my life. And she deserves all of it for what she first met me at. Let's see what else. I got a little dog. His name's Rolly. And then something very important is I have a 12-year-old boy. His name is Max Wenzel. And he's a really fun kid. He's a break dancer and he plays basketball. I'm in the happiest, best position of my life. I get to wake up. I have a whole entire business, 2 businesses where I just get to be myself. And that's like the most incredible thing, is to be able to wake up and make a great living being yourself, nothing else. I don't have to hide anything. I put everything out there, the good, the bad, the ugly. I do not care what anybody thinks about me. If you don't like me, I'm totally fine with that. If you want to hate on me, I like that a little bit more, because that pushes me to prove everybody wrong, right? And if you love me, I'm going to be loyal to you. So, that's a little bit about where I'm at right now, bro. And, I just excited, always excited. I wake up every day very, very excited to be alive and very thankful to be where I am today, because it wasn't always like this.
Right. So few more comments from my side, because I know you for a few months now. So you're a car guy, right? So you've been in the car industry for a long time, right? So
Yep.
You married for a few years. I don't know how many, but if you wanna, you can disclose it. So you also, in the childhood, you were rock band, wherever. You can irrigate on that, because it's very interesting chapter of your life. But we're gonna go to younger Justin just in a moment. But what else? But what I really want to point from my assumption and my point of view, you are leader of leaders. You are leading a pack of like-minded boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, right? You're leading them into some kind of a movement, some kind of a shift of their mind, their thinking, and also it's kind of like cultural, social impact. So I wanna go into this little bit, maybe not now, but at the end of the show for sure. I really want to concentrate you like an arrow, right? So you start your life and you're just driven, you passionate individual, you creative, and you just pushing yourself into this point of your purpose, your legacy, and your impact. And I call it movement of wolves only podcast you're doing. So I want to understand that. So if you want to speak something on that subject right now, go ahead. And then we're going to go to younger age.
Yeah, well, absolutely. So I never imagined that this movement would be at this level. I had a vision and I had this desire. And it's funny because I don't know if you've ever read the book Good to Great. Have you ever read that book?
You recommended me on the first sales meeting we met. And you called me Hitchcock. And I read the book next day.
So you understand the hedgehog concept, right? And the biggest thing about it is they talk about this as the hedgehog and the level 5 leader. And there's levels of leadership and they're all good, but the level 5 is a leader that is great. And I was on another podcast with some really amazing individuals, very successful individuals in a similar field that I like to kind of dedicate a lot of my time in. That's rehabilitation. And on that podcast, it was so funny because I hadn't read Good to Great for years. And I was talking about my, the satisfaction that I get when I watch somebody grow from teaching somebody else something. Like, I love the idea of passing down information, passing down experience, and passing down talent. But what I love even more is to watch how that person who is the teacher, who is the leader, how much they grow from that experience. Of course, you love to see the Padawan learner become the Jedi, right? That's amazing. But I believe that the real growth, the real growth or the mutual growth, I suppose you would call it, is on both sides, right? It's mutual growth. So in that podcast, I was talking to a friend of mine named Shane, and then his co-host his name's Peter, and they stopped dead in their tracks, and they said exactly the same thing that I said to you. And he said, that's the hedgehog, and immediately, and they had a stuffed hedgehog on the actual table in the studio. And he pointed right at the hedgehog. And right away he was like, you know what book that is? And I was like, yeah, Good to Great. And I didn't, but it took me a second for it to kind of register, right? That's the hedgehog. That's the level 5 leader. That's the person who creates leaders, right? And so I immediately went home and I dug out the book, and I couldn't find the book. So I ordered it. Okay. And I ended up getting a Spanish copy. I accidentally ordered a Spanish copy. So I waited for it to get here. I was like, I'm going to reread this book, and something you'll learn about me later on is I can read really, really fast. Like people are blown away by how fast I can read. But either way, I was pumped because I was like, I was going to read right through it right away. And it came in Spanish. Well, my wife speaks Spanish. So I was like, here, take this copy, read this book. She has no interest in business literature. So I waited for the next copy to come, and then it came, and I could not get out of it. I made all of my employees and partners, I made them all read it. We literally were reading it all together. Now, of course, I'm 10 times faster at reading than all of them. So they were getting the tape and trying to keep up with me and everything. And I adopted 2 main principles in this business from that book. One, I want level 5 leaders. So I want guys who, when they feel like someone's not learning from what they're said, or their seminars, or their lessons, or their one-on-one calls, instead of getting fed up or being like they just don't get it, well, then you're not leading them the right way. Help them get there, right? I want you to be able, now, not everybody is going to be able to adopt that mindset and not be able to adopt that skill set, but you got to be able to communicate. You got to be able to understand. You have to be able to give them the empathy, the sympathy, and the information that they need. So we would always go back, channel that hedgehog, get back in that. And then the other thing that I really pulled from that specific chapter actually is the ability to limp when you need to. Meaning the portion of the book talks about who cares where the bus is going as long as you have the right people on the bus, right? But you got to be able to make sure that you have the right people on the bus. And that means don't settle for someone just because you need something done, right? You need to, if you have to limp until you find that right person, if you have to be stretched a little more thin until that right person comes along, then you have to. Do not settle with the wrong person on that bus. So when we started talking about wolves only, and we started to really go into this, like we always had the wolf as our symbol, but then it was like, how are we really going to channel that pack type animal? Where like you're only as strong as your weakest wolf in the pack, right? Like and that was exactly where we thought we were like, we're only moving up from within, unless somebody that comes in from the outside just wows us, which was a case recently. Okay. But we're only going to make sure we have the right wolves in our pack.
So let me step in, because I'm watching from the distance through our weekly engagement through the Zoom calls for this of close to 200 coaches. What I notice is really, really unique and surprising, because like when we initially met, I told you I interview 100 to 120 different agencies, different companies, different course creation, different mentors, different coaches. I really dug deep, and I spent $250,000 investing in my personal development just to build myself up, prepare myself for what's coming. And when I met your crew, what really ignited me, the ability to lead as a group, right? So at that time, you had 6 key leaders of the team, right? Now you have probably 9 or 11, close to 12, right? 12 disciples almost. So in the synergy and the collaboration and ability to understand and follow each other and give each other space, it's really uncommercial, what it's called, on corporate environment, it's really different kind of a what it's called tribe mentality, right? It's kind of like, I want you to communicate on that, how it's possible to find a synergy and collaboration between big adults, right?
So look, the one thing that I think you'll know about my guys, and not all of them, but the key, like the core five, most of us are in recovery. Most of us are.
So it's brotherhood kind of, right?
Yeah. We all suffer from what we consider the same illness, the same disease. We're all alcoholics and drug addicts. Okay.
In the past, or in the present?
No, in the past. Everybody.
Okay. No, it's okay.
No. And in the past, no, as a matter of fact, all of our leadership, every single one of those 11 people, from Channy to Scotty to myself, Dane, everybody is 100% sober from all mind-altering substances. Randy, everybody. It's requirement. Everybody is sober. Most of us are what we call friends of Bill W. So we work a program that's a brotherhood. Okay, that is a very, very centered around principles brotherhood. And we talk about principles that we practice. And in this program that we work, we talk about practicing these principles in all of our affairs, all of them.
So do you want to say this is your foundation of relationship, right? So you like-minded because you struggle through like situations, right? Now you can communicate and on a different level, right? Because you're coming from the same somewhat background, and it's kind of able to marry you into this collaborative clan.
Right. Well, and here's the thing about when you're an addict, okay? When you're an addict, you are the most committed individual in the world. And let me explain what I'm saying, okay? When you are an addict, there is nothing that's going to get in the way of you and that substance, or you and whatever it is you're addicted to. If you're a gambling addict, whatever, you are committed. There is not a single person in the world that is more committed than a drug addict, period, or an addict to anything else. So when you take an addict and you take them out of the negative addiction that they have and you give them a positive addiction, that commitment level is unparalleled. I would take a former drug addict that found purpose over any individual in the world. I do not care how talented that person is. That addict will walk barefoot through snowstorm mountains to get his high and get his fix. He will go barefoot through snowstorming mountains to find his success, find his purpose, find his things. You cannot compare the two. So when I have a team of guys who have been at the bottom and now they've reached the top and they always want more, they always want to do whatever they're addicted to now, whether it's helping people lose weight, helping people become successful, helping people fix their marriages, helping people get sober, they are going to go to the ends of the earth to make sure that fuels what they have to have, which is what they're addicted to. That's their fix. That's their high now. So all of us are sitting there with like this massive purpose, this just huge intent in our heart to change the world. You cannot pull that type of mindset, that type of person. It doesn't exist in another type of individual.
So this is the fuel, right? So that passion and purpose-driven mindset and similarity in vision, which kind of pull you together like magnets, right? And now you're creating this bigger field of magnetic field and attracting more and more and more. So this is the secret of this ingredients of grassroots movement, what we witnessing right now, right?
Correct. And then, the main principles of JW Fit are transparency, authenticity, and brutal honesty. So everything in there is vital. We want authenticity. We want to be transparent about everything. And we want to call people out on their shit. If we don't think it's good, we're going to be like, dog, that ain't good. We don't want you doing that. We're not going to fluff it to make people have feel goods and warm fuzzies, because warm fuzzies do not amount to success. They don't. no matter what.
So what I see that you stepping up in a leadership position. I will call it new form of leadership, which is not kind of through your general education system, not through political career, not through some kind of a economical or military base. You just stepping into this passion-driven, purpose-driven leadership, which come within your past struggles, and you building upon them. And this is giving you this platform to be honest, brutal, honest savages for good of the human being. Is this right understanding?
Yeah, I guess you can say that. However, I'll interject on one thing that you did say. There's a lot of education, there's a lot of experience in the corporate world, in a situation where my upbringing, my mentors growing up were very brutal, very honest. They did not take shit. So my mentor growing up was a guy named Pete Ferris, and Pete is a short Lebanese guy. Okay. He is very, very successful, very, very successful, and an amazing leader. He's people are scared of him, but they respect him. You know what I mean? That kind of guy. He's 5'5", but he stands 10 feet tall. That kind of guy. You know what I mean?
It's like Godfather figure.
Really a lot like that, honestly. So that was who was my mentor growing up. That was like all the way into my 30s, like mid 30s. That was a guy who I was terrified of him. I'd known him since I was like 10 years old, but he was always he was actually my father's right-hand man growing up. So he was like, he pretty much had the reins of me on a professional level, to where I looked at him like a big brother, but he wasn't a big brother. He was my direct mentor. So it was like when I learned things like sales, and when I learned finance, and when I learned managing teams, and when I learned all of this, that was a big part of it. Now, the second thing that I'll tell you is that the industry I grew up in, and like you said earlier, the auto industry, there is this understanding that you have a lot of types of personalities in that industry. There's a lot of types of individuals. You need to respect the fact that you may have a guy who's a stud on the sales floor, but he's a nightmare in the back office. He's a nightmare with his personal life. So you have to be able to make adjustments to him so he can keep his mindset right, because he's going to be a high achiever and a high performer for your company. Then you have guys that you need to level them up. And then you have guys that need to be left alone. And you know what I'm saying? So you got to realize that there's so many types of situations people work in, and different types of personalities. So growing up in an industry where I had a guy that mastered that, understood how to communicate to every different type of person and how to lead every different type of person, he passed that information down to me. He taught me this. He would pull me in his office and he would tell me, hey, listen, the way you talk to this employee of ours, you got to realize, like, this guy is this way. He's dealing with this at home. You know what I mean? He struggles with this during the day to day. And this is how you need to approach that situation. So for me, it was a matter of, when I wanted to build a community of this, I had an understanding that there is no blanket way to do things anymore, or ever, really, not even anymore. Okay. There is no blanket way. Sergey, you're going to learn, you're going to be talked to differently than I may have to talk to somebody else, or show them how to do something. So I have to learn how to speak to, your personality, your type of situation, and your type of learning level, as opposed to, let's just say, Paul Barron's another one of our coaches. Okay. Maybe I got to handle him a little bit different. And that's why I believe that we've been able to show, and Scotty's the same way, my president, Dane's the same way. They have a great understanding of different personalities. We're around a lot of different people. We've worked in a lot of different situations, right? So I do believe that contributes to a lot of our success in this, is the fact that we are able to communicate on so many levels.
So let me shift our conversation into the block number 2. Thank you for taking the very deep, precise explanation of present moment of who you are, where you're at. but I really want to find out ingredients of your soup, right? How Justin become a Justin of 37-year-old successful leader, hedgehog, and kind of a mentor to mentors. You mentioned when you were 10, you already have the mentor, right? But I really want to kind of you to close your eyes and think about when you were 5, when you were 7, when you were 10, when you were 13, like what was driving you? Where did you get fuel to what you was excited for you? What's your motivation? What was your inspiration at the time? What was your dreams at the time? And that who influenced you in a younger age? Who was your role model? Who was this hero figure? Who was a superhero from comic books or cartoons? How you get all the components and ingredients, good, bad, how you become the man you are right now.
This is easy. It's my father. It's my father. My parents had me really young, really, really young. And my dad was a workhorse. He was very talented. He became very successful at a very young age. Carried his success throughout his entire life. Never took a step back. I grew up watching this. I grew up watching him, literally work around the clock. And he always had these like massive, it was never goals, but it was process. And it was always, I need everything to be spot on. I need everything to be process, success, and income generating. Otherwise, it doesn't even matter. Very focused individual. And my entire life, I had this dad, this father that he was my superhero. He was everything. I watched him. He was so cool. He dressed cooler than all the other dads. He always kept himself in pretty good shape. He would slip on and off when he would deal with like heavy months where he was like stuck in his office forever dealing with all of his employees and stuff like that. Now, mind you, today he has over 900 employees in his business. So the guy, and he's a leader, I've always grown up with people telling me, your father feeds my family, like your dad is our leader. Like it was just, that was it. And to me, it was like, I had to fill those shoes. It was always like that. But the thing is he was really hard on me in that situation. He wasn't hard on me with certain expectations, but he wanted me to be well-rounded. So like you said, like I was a musician. I played in rock bands and stuff like that. He wanted me to be able to know an instrument. He wanted me to be able to play sports. He wanted me to have a social life. He didn't care if I drank and stuff like that because he wanted me to be a normal kid growing up and been able to learn from my own mistakes. But he wanted me to, more than anything, to be focused and to take pride in everything I do. Sergey, I'm going to tell you this, okay? That when I said take pride in everything I do, it still makes my skin crawl because I can remember my dad, everything, no matter what the task was, it wasn't ever good enough for him. And I would like, Justin, go out and sweep the garage. Okay. I'd sweep the garage. I'm out there like, he's going to come out. He's going to take a look at this. And he'd come out there and he'd look and be like, why don't you take pride in something you do? And I'll tell you this, like I'd be like, fuck you, Dad, fuck you. Like, I take pride. I'm trying, like I'm trying my best. And it was like, is it really? Are you establishing excellence? Is this really the best? And, and it was always take pride in something you do. He said that to me a million times growing up. Today, in sobriety, in becoming my own self-made millionaire, okay, today, I take pride in everything I do. My house is perfectly in line. My cars are perfectly in line. Every single thing, my clothes, all my shoes are lined up perfectly, cleaned. Everything is like military. My dad was never in the military, but like nowadays when I look at things, my dog is at the groomer once a week, perfectly trimmed, clean. Everything is friggin' pristine.
So your father become that kind of a impressive role model, kind of not an idol, but someone who you want to be like and copy, and you kind of fill in the shoes. You're saying, but you representing his DNA and his, coaching practices right now, right? So basically you copy and, project him.
Yeah. And to have between having my dad and Pete in my life, it was like, I failed a lot growing up. I failed their expectations a lot growing up. I let them down, but they were always there to bring me back up. And people may look at that as like nepotism, but it wasn't. It was a lesson. There was always a lesson behind it. And they let me fail. They let me fail plenty of times. But they made me like work my way back to where I was before I could move forward in life. It's crazy to think about, but like the last time around that I did, and I don't work with them anymore. I now own my own business, but the last time around, I left. I chose to leave the organization, and I did okay, and I was perfectly fine, but I got to a certain level to where like I got in the best shape of my life. I was super focused. I took over another company. I was running this other company successfully, and I was like magnetically drawn back to them because I wanted their leadership.
Do you have a siblings?
I have a little brother.
How he's doing in life?
My brother is he's interesting. My brother is a really good guy. He married his high school sweetheart. He has only had one significant other in his life, just Morgan, my sister-in-law. They've been together for like 15 years. He's not a salesman. He's not a businessman. He's not any of that. He's an engineer, an audio engineer and visual engineer. Okay. So AV engineer basically, right? Mm-hmm. He's got a great position, in our organization. But he's a media guy, so like he's happy with that. He just built a new home. He's trying to have a baby with his wife, and he's just happy. He doesn't like to go out. He doesn't like to be seen. He's also sober. And he works out, and he just stays, he watches a lot of sports, plays with his dogs, hangs out with his wife, doesn't have a ton of friends. He's got some homies, but yeah, just keeps to himself. He lives a nice life though, but he doesn't really have any aspirations to do like anything major right away, at least.
And we know that there is different psychological characteristic of humans. So there is at least, phlegmatic, melancholic, choleric. There is multiple different personalities. So we're all introverts, extroverts, which is fine. I have 4 children myself, and all of them different. I'm like, how it's possible? 2 boys, 2 girls, and each of them have completely different appearance and story and hobbies and desires. So it's all good. I just want to figure out, how he's doing, because you get so much inspiration from your father, and he get a different inspiration. I don't know, maybe from mother, or I don't know how he get.
Yeah, I don't know that inspiration is the right word. Yeah, it could be. There are certain things that he does take more to my mom in. But yeah, he's just like he's a comfortable person. Not that he's like, not that he's not an achiever. He's actually like really talented, and he's done some really great things in his life. He just like knows what he likes, and he just sticks in his comfort zone and what he likes to do. And it works out really nice for him. He still trains every day. He's still in great shape. He's getting jacked. He's, like I said, he caught himself drinking too much, and he quit drinking, started reaching out to me and Dane and stuff like that, and getting the tools necessary for him to be able to enjoy life and not have to drink, which is fantastic. And he's just, like I said, great husband, just a great man.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Let me ask you about your hobbies. I know you're spending time at your businesses, and you're passionate and you love this. This is kind of a love of your life, and you're not working because you love what you do. But do you have any hobbies, any things you like to do when you have a free time?
So I really enjoy traveling. Typically my wife and I will travel for like a month straight. We try to do like 2 or 3 months a year where we just like get lost and have fun. I still work when I travel every single day.
And the way you travel, is this like in the woods, on the sunny beaches, on the cruises?
Yeah, tropical.
Tropical.
So like the last trip last trip was really like kind of last minute. We were just like, let's just get out of town for August. So we spent August in Cabo. We stayed in a villa for 2 weeks, and then we went to a resort for another 2 weeks. Everywhere we go, we make sure there's a brilliant gym, at least a gym close by that's like a nice gym. We try to make sure that everything is like somewhat friendly to our nutrition programs and things like that, but we still have our fun with the food. And yeah, most of the time it's just laid back. We'll do a couple excursions, things like that, but it's mostly just time for us to work from abroad. The beautiful thing about what I do is I can work from anywhere.
Does your wife like to work out as well?
Yeah, she's in great shape. She trains every single day. She lifts heavy, and she's a tiny person. She's really tiny. She's maybe 115 pounds, soaking wet, very, very small person.
Okay, so let me go back a little bit to the childhood, because you just answered big question. Answer about your father being role model, and Pete, short person from Lebanon, was your mentor. But I want
he's from Boston, but he's Lebanese.
Okay. Boston,
or he's actually from Maine, but yeah, I grew up like in that.
You know my philosophy. I look at people as humans first. I don't divide them by nationality, race, and colors. I don't care. If you're human, I can talk to you. If you're a robot, I have a problem, right? I want to find the switch to turn you off, or turn you on.
One of the two.
So. The books, comics, movies, cartoons. Who was your superheroes? What kind of a universe you belong? DC universe, Marvel, Star Wars, Hobbits. What was your kind of where you were finding peace and dream? You play computer games. Where was your exit?
So
exploration.
A lot of people don't know a couple things about me. I'm a big C.S. Lewis fan, and a very big C.S. Lewis fan. I liked to read growing up. Not like textbook and stuff like that, but I just like to get into books. A lot of people don't know that I really liked to read like emergent Christian books, and although I don't consider myself a Christian today, I still really enjoy theology, really, really much so. Most of the types, so like that's what I really like. So I love C.S. Lewis. I love Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and all the Chronicles of Narnia. But I really liked his other stuff too. And then I was a Star Wars guy. I loved Star Wars. I played the video games. I knew all the movies and everything. I don't know that I fantasized in that situation much. Because I like to be outside and playing and things like that too. So,
what was your balance inside, indoor, and outdoor? Are you a more street boy, or you more kind of a in computer games, board games?
No, computer. I wasn't a gamer. I played like video games like at night before I'd like wind down. But it was always like Tony Hawk. Like I wasn't like a gamer. Like I never played a computer game. I've never played a computer game in my life. But like, Xbox, stuff like that. Or it wouldn't have been Xbox back then. It would have been like Nintendo 64. But I always played like Tony Hawk Pro Skater, or, whatever. Growing up, I was a skier, snowboarder, skateboarder, wakeboarder. Those were my sports. Yeah, I would all the way up into my 30s. I used to snowboard in the winter every single weekend.
Did you compete? For anything?
Yep. Yeah, for snowboarding, I competed, and for wakeboarding, I've competed.
So you grew up competitive, or you grew up just having fun?
Just having fun. I was never like looking to win anything. But yeah, I grew up doing a lot of board sports. It's funny, in high school. My dad was really cool about things, but we had this massive driveway, right? It was huge. Probably like if you would have spanned it out, it probably would have been a 1/4 mile long. Okay, and it was all flat, and it had like big like circle, like we had our own cul-de-sac basically in our driveway. And the whole entire thing was skateboard ramps. Like me and my buddies would make like really good, like we were really good at building somehow. I don't know how I was good at this, but we would build like skateboard ramps and then we would put wheels on them. So we could like put them on, like lift up the wheels, and or like lock out the wheels so they would roll them into place in the driveway. So when my dad was at work and stuff like that, when we got out of school, we would all meet in my driveway basically, and we would set up the ramps, right? And then when we were done, we'd have to put the wheels back down, wheel them back. And we had them so they could all like sit in place, almost like a Tetris or like a Jenga puzzle. You know what I mean? And they'd tuck them in the corner of the driveway. So they all like kind of linked up together, throw tarps over top of them so they didn't get destroyed when it rained. And that was like my whole high school was in the summer and spring and fall was having like building skate ramps and like doing stuff like that. And we were really cool. For a big dude, I was a pretty good skateboarder. Not great, but I did it all day, every day.
So we know you as a reader. We know you as a sport person. We know you as a whatever. Tell me about music. You said you were in a music, you follow music bands. Tell me why music, what was connection, what was your relationship with music, why music was so important to you?
So like I said, I grew up in the skateboarding, snowboarding world. So we watched a lot of snowboard videos, skate videos. Well, there was always like really cool punk rock and like metal music and stuff like that. And while all my friends, and I had a hip hop phase in my life, but while all my friends were listening to rap and stuff like that, I always like just loved punk rock and just loved punk rock. And, I started hanging out with guys who were musicians, pretty young, like, 13, 14 years old. I had a little bit of knowledge of how to play instruments. But I started taking guitar lessons when I was young, like 12 or 13. Okay. I got really good at guitar. So then I started to learn other instruments. I started to learn drums, started to learn bass. And then I started hanging out with guys that were in punk bands. So I wanted to be in a punk band, right? So I started a punk band, and that was when I was probably 13 years old. Okay, started a punk band. One of the members of that punk band ended up playing bass for a massive punk band that toured the world. Huge punk band. Like Fall Out Boy big. And then I started to meet other guys in bands, and I started to go to a lot of shows, and I started to network. And then my first band, Lola, we got together. We met pretty much all at church and high school. It was like some guys from my church and some guys from high school. And we were all different ages too. It was really weird. It was like a really like this was before I even had my driver's license. So my mom we'd rent a U-Haul.
But you start this band. You said you started at age 13, right?
Yeah, I brought everybody together.
So you were leader at that time already, right? So as a young teenager, you were leading, your sports gang, and you're leading your, music gang, right?
Unifying or leading, whichever way you want to look at it. I was always the guy that would bring people together. That was just always me. Whether it's like we're all meeting at my house to go skateboarding, guys that were would have never known each other. I went to a big high school, would have never known each other from there. So so I really got into music. Started playing a lot. Like I said, we would play shows. We were playing bigger shows at a certain point with like big bands, and we didn't even have driver's licenses. My mom would literally she had a Yukon Denali back in the day, and she had we'd rent a U-Haul, or we'd just pack the Denali with all of our equipment, or take several, or like their moms would bring their equipment. We'd show up with like these bands that have like tour buses, big vans with trailers, and our moms were like driving all our stuff up. We would set up, play the show. We were really good. And then eventually, as we grew up, like we were together for a couple of years, or for quite a few years. And then we started playing big shows, started headlining shows, stuff like that. Okay. That band broke up. Obviously we were getting older, and, but I just kept going. I kept starting bands, or filling in for bands, things like that. And then, well, let me back up a little bit. So, my brother and I got in a really bad accident. Okay. When we were young, I was, just about to be 16. Okay. And he was 10 or 11. We got in a bad boating accident. And at that time, I was like between playing music, I was also wakeboarding a lot and like getting trained by some like professional wakeboarders and wakeboard trainers. And I was like really involved in the church and all of that kind of stuff. Okay. So we get in this really bad accident. My brother's got a year of recovery ahead of him. And my best friend, Mitch, who was one of my wakeboard partners, like him and I, we would train every day together. And his dad was actually the pastor of the church that I went to. He told my dad, he was like, Justin's got so much going on. Like Trenton was going to have to homeschool because he had my little brother. He was going to have to homeschool because he wasn't in any condition to go back to school because he still had a broken pelvis, broken neck, all these things. So he was going to have to homeschool. So Scott, my best friend's dad, was talking to my dad and was like, Justin's really talented. He's got a lot of stuff going on, between snowboarding, between wakeboarding, between music. It might make sense to let him homeschool too. And my dad was like, okay, let's just see how it goes. So one of my band members, actually, who was older than me, way older than me, was also a valedictorian in the college that he went to. He went to Portland Bible College in Portland, Oregon. So he while we were playing music together, he would come to my house and he would homeschool me and my brother. And we started just doing the homeschool thing. And then I was able to like snowboard every day in the winter. I was able to go, I was able to wakeboard every day in the summer. And then when my band was playing different shows in different towns, different cities, we were able to do that. In the meantime, also I'm not running, but I'm working for my family's company and learning the company too. I turned 18. All right. And I moved out and I got a condo downtown Grand Rapids, which is the city that I'm from. And that's when I found drugs. So I was like a good kid, right? Like I was always like, I still like would party and I'd still have drinks and stuff like that, but I was never an addict. I was a normal kid. I'd just like drink beers, sneak beers with my buddies and stuff like that. But then I found drugs when I was like 18 years old. I found cocaine. And then I like really, really fell in love with cocaine. So I was 18 years old. I was living in this like beautiful condo with a guy that was a little bit older than me. He was like 25 at the time. But knew him really well. We snowboarded together. He was a competitive snowboarder as well. Actually, he's now a professional. And we would just party in this condo. And he didn't really know that I did that much cocaine, but he was traveling a lot for snowboarding at the time because he had sponsors and things like that. So he would leave for Colorado, Utah, British Columbia, things like that. And then I would have the condo to myself and I'd have parties all the time. So it got pretty bad. And there was a time too where I got a girl pregnant. Okay. So that situation, it was never a thing. Like she never had the kid or anything like that. But like we had this, I thought I had this kid on the way. Or no, she did have the kid. It wasn't mine. That's the story. Okay. And anyways, Aaron came home one day and he saw me and I'm like skinny, like really skinny. And I'm like strung out. And he was like, dude, fuck this. He's like, I'm going to go talk to your dad and mom. My parents were still married at that time. And he goes to my dad and mom and he's like, dude, he's not well. He's got this girl, he pretty much told her, he's like, cause at that time I thought I had a kid on the way. So my parents came to the condo and they're like, you're moving back home. So I moved back home with my family at, 18, which is respectable, and sobered up, pulled my life back together, got in really good shape. And then I went to college. I went to college at Northwood University, which is a big automotive school. And I was there for a semester and met a couple guys and started a band.
Again.
Right away. Yeah. Started a band called Georgia Moon. We were back then, this is when like Facebook was like still specific to, like it was exclusive to college students.
Did you have any records? Did you record any music albums? Are they posted? They online? They in Spotify or somewhere?
I have some of it. So back then, you got to remember back then, this was MySpace days. So no, it wouldn't be Spotify. There wasn't any of that back then. This was all
iPod.
MySpace.
It was an iPod.
Yeah, yeah. So I still have a bunch of the recordings from both Lola and Georgia Moon and a few other bands that I played in in my iTunes and stuff like that. But we dissolved before like even really YouTube was big or anything like that. Pure Volume is what it would have been Spotify kind of back then. So while we were in college, I ended up buying a house in college, my sophomore year of college, and I moved in with all my band members. And we partied, we drank and stuff like that. I wasn't addicted to drugs or anything. I definitely drank too much, but we started playing parties, started playing shows, frat houses, things like that, and we ended up doing pretty good for a small local band, and then we started to not get so local, and then we started to play big shows, festivals, things like that. So meanwhile, we would stagger our classes. So there was three guys that I went to college with that were in the band, and then one guy that was already out of college. And we all took our classes from Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we would like take classes into the night. So then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we could go travel and play shows. So we would load up. We all lived together. We had a full-blown venue in our basement, stage, lighting, everything you can imagine. And we would travel and we'd go do shows all over the place, and then come back, hit the books, and then go back out and start playing again. And that was our entire college career.
I bet it was a fun days, right? It was
Oh my God, it was
really
awesome.
bright,
It was
bright,
awesome.
fun days. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So yeah, and then everything comes to an end. I actually ended up getting a girl pregnant, and that's my son Max. Yeah, so that's when like that was kind of done. I tried chasing music in a few other bands after Georgia Moon broke up. Played in a couple bigger bands, and I did a little bit of recording with big bands that I filled in to play like drums, guitar, stuff like that for, but nothing ever came out of it. Max got pregnant, and then it was like time to get real, and that's when I went back into the auto industry.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you about, do you have any collections? Do you collect anything? I asked you about hobbies, but let me ask you about
I have expensive collections. Yes. I collect.
watches, right?
Yeah, I have a very nice
Cars.
Rolex collection. I have some nice cars. I have an addiction to Jordans. I have 45 pairs of Jordans. Some of them I don't even know that I have. So yeah, watches, Jordans, and I just started collecting street art. I really like street art.
Any guns? Any
No,
swords? Any
no,
weapons like that? No, you're not.
no, not a gun guy, not a sword guy. Not that I don't like them or anything. They're cool, but no, I like watches. I have some really nice stuff. Like,
Thank you for taking this kind of a deviation, which is really, really fun to listen. About your superpowers, right? So we talked about you like C.S. Lewis, right? You like all Narnia, which is part of my inspiration for this show, Core Nation. It's come from T.R. Tolkien, Hobbits and Lord of the Rings, and C.S. Lewis, Narnia. I love that kind of a communication of mystery, adventure, dig deep into the human psychology, philosophy, clash of different heroes and villains. So this is kind of a foundation of my show. I want to find out more about your superpowers. One of the superpower I can pull, which you just mentioned, it's ability to connect. You've been a connector person, right? So you call people out to the something new and challenging, what they were probably ashamed or afraid or intimidated to do, and you just encourage them and you build them up and you push them on a pedestal, not a pedestal, but on a stage, and you pull it together. So one of this superpower, and you're using it right now, even right now, you're pulling out, you're extracting people out of their shells of life, and you just build them up and encourage and, insert self-confidence. What other superpowers do you possess and you use? And tell us.
oh man, that's tough. A lot of it, I think, a lot of this, I think, comes from like me having a very generous heart. Not that I'm not a people pleaser. I'm not one bit, but I do like to reward people. I do like to go above and beyond for people. That go above and beyond for me, right? So I do think a lot of stuff comes, and that comes from my dad too. My dad's incredibly generous. I think a lot of it is generosity, whether it's something that's like, I love tipping big, but I like giving people my time, my ear. I like listening to them. So, whether it's generous with time, whether it's accommodation, whether it's generous with gifting, things like that. I really, that's something that I really have in my heart is that. And then the other thing is just having a servant's heart, man, like showing up. I don't really think that there's like any secret sauce to anything that I do or any of my men and women do. I really think we are generous and we have a servant's heart.
Wow, let's this suck in a little bit. It's so good. So to have this humanity, right? So I'm asking for superpowers, and you're just saying it's not the superpowers. It's normal humanity. It's normal empathy. It's normal humbleness. It's normal, kindness of the human heart. So this is it is superpower of superpowers, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't consider myself a humble person. Everybody tells me that I am, but I do not consider myself a humble person. I think I'm actually, very confident and sometimes I think I'm arrogant. But maybe it's just ego, whatever. But I'm constantly, I'm told I'm humble, but I don't believe that at all. Cause I know that I'm always a steamroller in conversations. But and I can take a compliment. So I don't know, but I do believe that I am generous, and I do believe that I do have a servant's heart. I care.
Okay. So you got examples, and you grew up, and it's kind of inserted in you. So let me ask you one of the, not a difficult question, but a question of, takes, true answer. When you have somebody who pisses you off, right? Somebody who's really go under your skin, and you experience some frustration, hate, anxiety, whatever kind of an emotional outburst, like a wild tornado, like a whirlpool of emotions. How do you deal with that? Tell me honestly, what is your method and tools? How you just cope with that?
There's two ways. First of all, I'm not an angry person. So I really don't get angry.
Except when the coach is not doing their homework.
But you got to understand that that's not anger. That's irritation off of a desire for people to do better. You know what I'm saying? It's not anger. That's not anger.
It's come across like that sometime.
It's because I'm an intense person, right? I'm an intense person, but at the same time, it's like, it's not anger. It's like, why the hell can't we just like figure this out together? Like, there is frustration more than anger. When somebody says something to me, or somebody insults me, or somebody,
or let's say your wife or your kid, right? If somebody doing something really kind of nasty, how are you dealing with it?
Really, I mean, I haven't experienced that with my wife. I honestly, I have like a nervous habit where I go straight to sarcasm, and that that can escalate situations a little bit. With my wife, maybe. My son, he's a good boy, so I don't really see that. Now, I do get a lot of hate. Obviously, anybody that is as charismatic as I am, looks like I do, and has a big ego and has a lot of confidence, you're going to get a lot of hate in the world that we're in. So I get a lot of DMs, comments, people dogging on me. And if you've ever read my comments where people dog me, I don't delete them. A lot of times I respond to them. About a quarter of the time I turn them into paid clients. But I just don't let stuff bother me. I've just learned to embrace it. And if they're hating, they're watching. Okay. So it's really the only way. If somebody steals from me and they need something so bad that they have to take it from me, I'm really good at just whatever, count my loss and cut that person out of my life. The most beautiful thing I learned in my road to sobriety and serenity is like really to be able to, one, Things that are out of my control, don't even worry about it. And two, ghosting is something I am brilliant at.
It hurts. It hurts, right?
Oh, I love it. I love it. If somebody wrongs me, I have no problem blocking you on everything: phone number, social media, email. You will never get a hold of me again, and I will not think about you again. And honestly, I wasn't always this way. I used to be more codependent. But nowadays, like, yeah, if it's something big enough for me, it'll be like, it's not even that it's unforgivable. It's not even that. It's just that I don't have any room for that in my life any longer. Bye.
So I got a pretty good recollection of your ingredients, right? How you come about, what's kind of inspires you, what you were reading, what you were listening, what you were doing when you grew up. Now you're 37, right? What do you see? I know you don't like kind of planning and goal-oriented kind of discussions, but how do you see yourself in 5 years, maybe 10 years, if you can see that far? What is your mission in life for the next season of your life, right? What is your inspiration? I know you and all of us, we're working on this big mission to improve this world one person at a time and change people's life. And this is very satisfying and very productive and very kind of rewarding. But anything else we're missing? Where you aiming? Where's your arrow pointing and where you heading and going?
So I think that the biggest thing about this is relevance and being able to evolve with an ever-changing industry space and whatever it is. Okay. Where am I going? I've told you this just like I tell everybody. I good to great is now my Bible, right? I do not care where I'm going. I do not care at all. As long as I have my people, we will end up in the right place. But maintaining relevance in an ever-changing and easily distracted world is a challenge. So where my arrow is going is to be able to focus on evolving my character, evolving my mission, being able to evolve resources that I give people, resources that I sell people, evolving my business as a whole, my impact, my touch, whatever is, that's what my sole focus is going to be on, is evolution.
Are you working on any book?
I want to, bro. But at this point, like, I hate when people say they don't have time, but like, I'm involved with way too many people's lives right now to be able to think about a book.
So I want to ask you a little bit more about your creativity, because you're a crazy creative person. Online, we can all see it and witness. You just get a big following in the last few years. But where is this coming from? Who get you this gene and DNA of creativity? How you get hooked on that? Because you deliver this all the time. I really interested to know.
So I love marketing, and it's something that I went to college for. But it's like just coming up with fresh things, fresh ideas. It comes natural. You know what I mean? I don't even know that I really am that original, but I think that the way I can present something is fresh. You know what I mean? Somebody told me recently that I market myself and my businesses like the exact opposite that everybody in our industry does. And I took that as a huge compliment. Now that person that said that to me, he didn't mean it as an insult at all, but he just said, man, everything that you would think you would do, you do the exact opposite of. Well, that person now signed up with me and is a client of mine. So, I mean, it is something that is special about the way that we market. But the fact of the matter is that as long as you stay moving, right? And as long as you're actually doing what you tell people to do and you work your own program, well, God damn it, you're going to end up always having fresh stuff. And as long as you're documenting and as long as you're doing the right thing and you're being honest and authentic, you're always going to have fresh content. You're always going to have fresh ideas. You're always going to have new things to show the world. But if you're the kind of guy that doesn't do it and just tells people to do it, and at home you're dicking around playing video games, not actually bettering your craft, not actually taking your time and giving your time and pouring yourself into other people, you will be stagnant. You will be a complete disaster. But if you think about it, when I have dozens upon dozens of conversations with people every 3 hours, let alone hundreds of conversations throughout every single day, 7 days a week, you're always going to have fresh stuff.
Because you interact and you exchange ideas, you get influence and
Yeah. Think about it. Big surprise. Social media rewards you for being social.
All right. So I asked you about book, but you're not doing book, but you're doing podcast. This year, you and me both, we have this new episode of our life, and we start in podcast, right? So what's behind this podcast? What is this for you? I know you're doing this to unleash and unlock talents of other coaches, but you also excited about it. You're proud of it. The logo that you created, it's just phenomenal. What is in it for you, and why do you need that?
Goodness, man. So the podcast was not initially a dream of mine until it was. I don't actually listen to podcasts. I go on them all the time. I'm featured on them all the time, but I don't actually listen to podcasts. I don't even listen to my own podcast. Now I do listen to Wolves Only, and I watch it on my, my big screen in my living room every time it airs. We just had a new one aired today with Aubrey, one of our coaches. She's incredible, has an incredible story. But it wasn't a dream of mine until everyone started telling me to do it. And then that still at that point wasn't like a passion. Until first I looked at it as do you know what a USP is?
USB.
A USP is a unique selling proposition.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
So I looked at it as a USP. I was like, what if I had a platform for coaches to come on and be able to tell their story and things like that? And I was like, that'd be great for short and long form content. So originally that was where my thought was. But the problem is that I can't pour my heart into something that's just a USP. There's no authenticity in it. I'm just trying to sell something that is another offer, another part of an offer that's already a no-brainer offer. So where do we go from here? Because still that idea of a podcast was being pushed on me. So then it was like, well, hold on a second. Forget about a USP. What if we put a platform for our coaches to actually tell their stories? And our existing coaches, they're already in. They've already, fulfilled their investment, or are in the process of fulfilling their investment. So why not give those people something more? Why not give the people that believed in us something really special? And in turn, there ended up being a USP built into there, but it was that. I did my first show with Mikey Getz, and man, it went really well. It was choppy. I'm sure you're fresh in this too. There's glitches and things like that happen. It was choppy.
No, we have Sofia and Dalton. They can fix it all.
Well, you know what? I have Steve and Jake, so we're all learning this together. They're professionals though. Okay. It was choppy at first. And then the second show was with Dane. And I think it was with Dane. Or no, it was with either Scotty or Dane. It doesn't matter. And that's when like the passion kicked in. Because I've heard Dane's story 1,000 times. Probably 2,000 times. Right? I know Dane's story. I can tell it just as well as Dane can tell it in Dane's voice. In that setting, knowing that was going to go out and reach an audience, big or small, I don't care. Knowing that how powerful Dane's story is, Mikey's was powerful too. I'm just saying, I know Dane's story. And if you know Dane's story, and I believe you do too,
yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, There's people out there that are going to hear this story that needed this story. And then the passion kicked in. Now it's a dream. Now it's a dream. Now I'm investing. You have no idea how much money I've been investing into this. We have a new studio that we're opening up soon. Like, I mean, it's become, I hired a guy. You met Cody. I hired Cody. I'm like, Cody, I want my subscriber plaques. I want it all. Like, whatever it takes to get there, just tell me what I got to do. It's going to get there. You know, I want everything out of this. And it did not start off that way. I kept putting it off. I was like, not really for me.
So imagine this. Now, Dane's story, Mike's story, your story, my story is the story of the all coaches. They will be recorded in the professional quality settings, and they will live forever. If somebody needs this, right, and it's come across through algorithm or through the search, we can speak to the future generation and leave this positive, changing legacy. This is amazing investments, what you do with this podcast. I commended you. Yeah, wonderful.
Oh,
wonderful.
thank you, Sergiy.
Yeah. Now, block number 3. We already start going there. Your mission, your vision, we talked about this. So how people can find you, how the people can support you, how can they subscribe to your services, to your businesses. Can you give us this information and then send it to Sofia so she can enter all of this data into our follow? Yeah.
So I have a website. If you're looking to work with me personally to work on things like mindset, fitness, nutrition, things like that, you can reach me at my Instagram, just at Justin Wenzel, no dots, no spaces, nothing else, no underscores, at Justin Wenzel, period. I had to pay big money for that name. And then you can also go to, I have 2 websites. So to learn more about my coaching program, you'd go to justinwenzelfitness.com. And then to become a coach and to learn more about our beautiful community, you go to jwxfit.com.
Thank you for that. And a final word of encouragement, advice, tips, and few books if you want to mention something. But you already said good to great.
Yeah, another one by Collins would be B 2.0. And yes, so I haven't really talked about this much. We originally, this logo was created, the one behind me right here, the JWX Fit. Now, our company is called JW Fit, and a lot of people say JWX Fit, and because the X is in our logo, but it's really meant to separate it. But people started asking me what the X was, and to me, what it represented, because the world that I grew up in the metal scene had a straight edge scene, and the X's meant it meant no drinking, no drugs, no promiscuous sex. And it was the 3 X's. That was straight edge. Okay. Straight edge was no alcohol, no drugs, no promiscuous sex. So to me, the X's represent the X. Okay. Pay attention. The X represents how I got successful and the way that I became fulfilled. Not the financial part is whatever. But how I became fulfilled spiritually, how I became fulfilled emotionally, my relationships, all of it was not off of what I did. The X stands for what I don't do. I do not lie. I do not steal. I do not do drugs. I do not drink or anything like that. Okay. I do not cheat people out. I do not do things, and I hold myself very, very strict to my principles. The way I got successful was not by what I did. It's by what I didn't do. And that's what the X is there for.
Wow. It was wonderful. So anything else we need to know? Anything fun fact about you we missed? Anything is, final word of...
No, I gotta go try to convince Scotty to eat sushi. He likes to eat off the kids menu. So Scotty just flew into California. He's here this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we gotta go make a bunch of noise. The LA Fitness Expo is this weekend, so we gotta go make a bunch of noise there and just tear that place apart.
So thank you very much. If you don't have anything to add, we're gonna conclude here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying tuned in. spread the word out. We just speaking the real truth, real, honest as we understand, and we share with you as it is.
As it is, bro.
Stay core to your values, core to your strengths, and stay fit mentally, physically, financially, and spiritually.